Hey, what's up, Mr. Ippolito students? This is Mr. Ippolito, and today we're going to go over a few more Bill of Rights scenarios. So every time I'm going to ask the three questions. It's the same three questions that you're going to be asked on the quiz. Number one, did the government violate the Constitution in this particular scenario? So was there a government violation of the Constitution of the Bill of Rights? Number two, which amendment applies in this case? So even if the government didn't violate someone's rights, there's always an amendment that applies in each one of these scenarios that I'm going to give you. And then finally, number three, what is the specific phrase or principle within that amendment that applies from that amendment? All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in, and here we go. The first scenario, at Bright Tech Incorporated, employees are restricted from discussing their salaries with colleagues, leading to consequences for those who breach this policy. So, in other words, if a private company restricts certain speech in the workplace, is that allowed? Is this a violation of the Constitution? The answer is, it is not a violation of the Constitution. Bright Tech is a private company, and as such, they can restrict speech in the workplace if they so choose as a private company. So, did the government violate the Constitution in this scenario? The answer is no. It's a private company. Which amendment applies? It's the First Amendment and freedom of speech, but in this case, it is not a violation. It is not a government violation of free speech rights because it's a private company, and if they tell you you can't talk about your salary with other employees, then they have the right to do it in a private company. It's not the government restricting speech. All right, let's move on. A student-led organization advocating for LGBTQ plus rights at Saugus High School faces administrative limitations on their ability to assemble and discuss their cause on campus. So, is this a violation of the Constitution? The answer is, question number one, did the government violate? Yes, the government is violating. If this is a made-up scenario, I'm not saying this is really happening at Saugus High School, but if the administration at Saugus High School or any public high school were to do this, yes, they would be violating the Constitution. So yes, a violation. Which amendment applies in this case? It is the First Amendment, and which phrase or principle? There are two principles in here. Number one, they're facing administrative limitations on their ability to assemble, so it's the right to peaceably assemble and discuss their cause on campus, so it's freedom of speech. Freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. Now, I'm going to add a little twist here. If Saugus High School wanted to say we will only have curriculum-based clubs on campus, so only math club, science club, history club, choir club, clubs that directly relate to the curriculum, then they could do that, and they could eliminate all non-curriculum clubs. But if they eliminate this club, or if they put limitations, or they say you can't have an LGBTQ plus rights club, you also can't have other non-curricular clubs. The chess club, that's not curriculum, you can't have that. If you're going to have this policy, a Bible study club, you could not have that. Fellowship for Christian Athletes, which is a club that's on several high school campuses around the country. You couldn't have that if you're going to have the rule that says no non-curricular clubs, then you have to apply it equally and fairly across the board at a public school. So I know that Saugus High School has several non-curricular clubs. We all do all over the Hart District. So in this case, under these circumstances, it would violate the Constitution. Next, students at Cal State University Northridge gather for a peaceful demonstration against increased tuition fees and are abruptly dispersed by the police, leading to several arrests. Is it a violation? The answer is yes, it absolutely is. First of all, it's a public university, right? Publicly funded university, Cal State University Northridge. So the government is violating. It is the First Amendment that applies in this case. And again, you could say freedom of speech, and you could definitely say the right to peaceably assemble, right? They're gathering for a peaceful demonstration, and the right to petition because they're protesting against government-imposed tuition fee increases. So it's three different principles in the First Amendment there, and yes, the government is violating. All right, next scenario. Facebook and YouTube suspended the accounts of former President Donald Trump, claiming he used their platforms to spread false claims about the 2020 election. This really happened. President Donald Trump got deplatformed on several social media platforms, and he sued several social media companies claiming that his free speech rights were being violated. The question is this a violation in this scenario? The answer is no, because the government isn't doing this to him. It's private companies. YouTube and Facebook, formerly Twitter, now X, but back when it was Twitter, they all deplatformed him. They all took away his account. They suspended his account. Since then, I think one or two of these accounts have been reinstated at least. But it was not the government. So his free speech rights, his First Amendment rights were not being violated because the government had nothing to do with it. It was a private company, private social media companies deciding that they wanted to, he violated their terms of service, and therefore they suspended his account. So the First Amendment applies. He was claiming it was a First Amendment violation, but he was not being denied his free speech rights by the government. He was not being censored by the government because it was not the government doing it. It was private social media companies. Okay, you notice a little picture of the mall here. It's having to do with our local Valencia Town Center. Security guards at the Valencia Town Center escort a group of teens off mall property for hanging out too long at the sofas near the entrance to JCPenney. So the same questions apply. Is this a violation of the Constitution? The answer is no, it is not. Now, you may be like, Mr. Ippolito, it's First Amendment. It's the right to peaceably assemble. My friends and I want to hang out at the mall. Can't we hang out at the mall? The answer is no, you do not have a First Amendment right to hang out on private property. Private property like the Valencia Town Center, they can set their rules for who gets to hang out and who doesn't get to hang out at their mall. Now, they cannot discriminate. There are anti-discrimination laws that say they can't discriminate against people of a certain skin color or religion or background or sexual orientation. They can't discriminate against you for those reasons. But can they discriminate against you because you're just a teenager hanging out at the mall? Absolutely. If you're not spending money, that's the purpose of a mall, is to go and spend money, conduct commerce, right? Conduct trade and commerce. If you're not there to do that, if you're just you got one person sipping on their Starbucks and 20 other people just hanging out with their free waters from Starbucks, you're just loitering. That's what that's called. You're loitering. So the Valencia Town Center can absolutely send their security to send you and your friends out because it is private property. So did the government violate the Constitution? No. Which amendment applies? First Amendment, freedom of the right to peaceably assemble, but it's not a violation in this case because it's on private property. Next one, Pepperdine University restricts student clubs from discussing certain political topics, claiming it is against the educational mission of the university. Is this a violation? The answer is no, it is not a violation because Pepperdine University is a private Christian university. Private universities, just like private schools, can restrict whatever discussion they want to. Did the government violate the Constitution? No. Which amendment applies? First Amendment. And you could say this is freedom of speech. I think it's just a freedom of speech issue, but possibly a freedom of assembly. But again, if you're a private university, you can restrict whatever speech and whatever gathering, whatever assembly you want at a private school, private high school, private university, whatever you want. A student wears a F Trump shirt to class at Valencia High School. It contains the actual F word. The principal orders the student to change their shirt, claiming it is offensive. So, is this a free speech violation by the government? The answer is no, it is not a free speech violation. Now, it is a public school. Valencia High School is a public school. So you may be like, Mr. Ippolito, it's political speech. If they want to wear F Trump on their shirt, they should be able to, right? No, if it has the F word, this is at a public school. So that the fact that there's the F word, like the actual F word on a shirt, would supersede any other free speech considerations, right? You can't walk around wearing foul language or nudity or obscenity or you can't have Trump smoking marijuana and you're like, no, I'm advocating for marijuana use. No, you're at a school, and so your speech can be limited in that regard. Now, if your shirt says, I disagree with President Trump, or I disagree with President Joe Biden, or Joe Biden's an idiot, or whatever, then that would be supported. That would be your protected political speech. You don't have any curse words, no foul language on there. That would be a different story. But if you have the F word, the actual F word on your shirt, then schools can limit that speech to protect and keep an orderly and a non-disruptive environment at school. Okay, next. The city of Santa Clarita imposes an under 18 curfew. This is a real thing. They really have this curfew. According to the curfew, teens are not allowed to gather in public places after 10 p.m. on school nights and 11 p.m. on weekends. So is this a violation of the... Oh, whoops. Nope, let's go back. Sorry. Is this a violation of the Constitution? The answer is no, it is not a violation. Now, you may be like, Mr. Ippolito, it is my right to peaceably assemble. It is your right to peaceably assemble, but you're also under 18. So the courts have upheld curfews The courts have said, you know what, curfews for people under the age of 18 are okay. Curfews are also okay if there's a state of emergency, if there's a riot, or there's a flood, or an earthquake, or a massive power outage, or something where, you know what, we need to keep people in their homes to keep everybody safe. And so curfews for teenagers are fine. Did the government violate the Constitution in this scenario? No. We've had a curfew in Santa Clarita since the 1980s, since I was a teenager. Which amendment applies in this case? It would be the First Amendment, your right to peaceably assemble, but governments, local governments like the city of Santa Clarita, can impose a curfew on teens to keep teenagers safe. A town needs land to build a new elementary school. A woman's property is chosen, but she wants to keep it. The town forces her to sell and gives her fair market value for her home. Is the town violating this woman's constitutional rights? In this case, the answer is no, they are not violating her rights. And you can find this in the Fifth Amendment. It's right at the end of the Fifth Amendment. It talks about if the government is going to take land for public use, it must do so with fair compensation. It is a principle called eminent domain. We've talked about this in class before. Eminent domain means you can take someone's land if it's going to be used to improve for the public good, to improve the community. We talked about an example in New London, Connecticut, where someone, like an apartment complex, was torn down. The landlord was paid fair market value for the apartment, for the land, to make way for a Walmart, right? Because that was going to improve the land, improve the property value of the, and improve the community, provide a service, a Walmart to the community. So in this particular case, did the government violate the Constitution? No. Which amendment applies? The Fifth Amendment, and the specific phrase, you can call it eminent domain. It's the principle of eminent domain, or you can just say that the government may take land for public use if the owner is compensated. All right. Next one, the government tries a man for murder and loses the case. The jury found him not guilty. The district attorney who prosecuted the case is mad and promises to keep trying him until they get a jury to convict him. If the district attorney who represents the government, if the district attorney keeps trying this person even though he's already been found not guilty, is this a violation? The answer is yes. The government is violating the Constitution in this scenario. The amendment that applies in this case is the Fifth Amendment. It is your protection against double jeopardy. Now, you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. I am literally looking up the Fifth Amendment right now because I want to make sure that I give you the correct language. And of course, I am not finding it on. What you would think Mr. Ippolito would be better at looking up the Fifth Amendment here. Okay. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. That whole double jeopardy clause in the Fifth Amendment means if you've already been tried and found not guilty of a crime, then they cannot put you in double jeopardy. You cannot be put twice in jeopardy of life or limb for that crime. So in this case, did the government violate? Yes. Which amendment applies? The Fifth Amendment, the specific phrase or principle, no double jeopardy. You cannot be tried for the same crime twice if you have already been found not guilty. Now, if in a trial there's a hung jury, which means the jury just simply can't decide, right? Or the judge declares it a mistrial. Something happens with the attorney. The attorney has been one of the attorneys has been committing misconduct or acting inappropriately. From time to time, a judge has to declare a mistrial. And if the judge declares a mistrial, or if there's a hung jury, if they cannot reach a not guilty or a guilty verdict, then the district attorney can try the case all over again. But if you are found not guilty in a court of law, you cannot be tried for that crime again. Okay, going back here now. This is our final example. The Valencia, we're going into the holiday season, so this is very appropriate. The Valencia Choir sings Christmas songs at its winter concert, even though not everyone at VHS celebrates Christmas. A student claims the school is unfairly pushing religion on the students. So the question is, can a school sing Christmas songs, holiday songs, religious songs, as part of a choir concert? Is the government violating, is a public school, Valencia High School, public school, is the government violating the Constitution in this scenario? The answer is no. And the courts have upheld that if it's part of a cultural celebration of a religious holiday. Christmas, at its core, is a religious holiday, right? Christians celebrate Christmas as the birth of Jesus Christ. And so there are songs about Jesus being born and being born in a manger and Oh Holy Night and Silent Night. There are a lot of religious songs in Christmas. It is okay as part of a cultural celebration of a religious holiday for public school students in a choir to sing religious songs. Or if you're in an elementary school, for elementary school children, because we all sing in elementary school when we're kids, right? To sing religious songs. Now, it would be nice if the Valencia High School choir teacher, and I don't know whether or not they're planning to sing religious songs or not, but it's nice if you have like a mix of different songs that are culturally relevant to the holiday season. But it is constitutionally allowed to have religious songs sung if it's part of the larger cultural celebration of Christmas. Just like you can sing Hanukkah songs, right? And you're not violating someone's, freedom of religion. You could sing Diwali songs. You could sing songs from other cultural celebrations or religious celebrations, and you're not violating anyone's freedom of religion if it's part of a cultural celebration. All right. Well, that's my final scenario. Good luck with preparing for your Bill of Rights quiz, and I look forward to seeing you in class next time. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.